Welcome to the Atlanta Men's Workshop speaker and workshop recordings. Atlanta Men's Workshop is held every spring and fall at the Rock Eagle 4-H campus in Eatonton, Georgia. That's just about an hour east of Atlanta, Georgia. Please visit our website at atlantamensworkshop.com or see the link below to find dates and details to join us. Partial scholarships are available to those in need. We hope you enjoy this presentation, and we hope you will come join us at the Rock. Until then, we shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then.
Okay, I was waiting a few minutes because we kind of got confused. If some of you guys here for the anger breakout meeting, it's in the banker's room, banker's building. Yeah, sorry, man. So we're So we're here for the spirit of service and giving back. And my name's Terry, and I'm an alcoholic. I'll let David introduce himself in a minute. What I'm going to do is just open it up a quick share a little bit of my story and how service related to me getting sober. And I'm going to read a little something out of the big book and Dr. Bob's story. Then David can share a little bit. Then we'll just open it up. And hopefully you can just share some of your experience with giving back and stories of things that happened that you weren't even expecting to happen because you were making coffee or you were doing something just to save your ass, just to stay sober. You were just chairing a meeting or whatever. Just any kind of experiences that you got. And if you're new, hopefully you can get something out of this and realize it don't matter if you're 1 day sober or 20 years sober, that you've got something to give to that new guy that's just coming in the door because he's just getting sober. And he don't even have a day sober. So anyway, when I got sober, I didn't come to Alcoholics Anonymous to quit drinking. And I was beat up enough. I'm not even sure how I got to my second meeting. My first meeting was because I had 3 DUIs and somewhere I had some outside counseling and they suggested AA because I had no insurance and no money. So obviously I wasn't going to get treatment. Not back in my day anyway. So I went to the second meeting and these guys, and I'm just trying to get my license back. I'm trying to do something to tell the judge that I'm not going to drink anymore. It's my 3rd DUI, so I'm thinking I'm going to jail or in prison or whatever. So I went to my second meeting after the first meeting, and they were laughing and stuff, and I was attracted to that. Plus, I was going to some place I didn't like where I was staying. I was 33 years old. I was at home, back at home with my mom, sleeping on the floor, no mattress, in a basement. My room had 3 TVs, and none of them worked except the top one. They were all stacked up on each other, and it was black and white. So I was happy to find this place called the NABA Club, and they had meetings every day. And the second meeting I went to, people were really nice. They were laughing about shit that I didn't think was funny, but and I just, they said I could come back. So I went back the next day because I didn't want to be where I was at, and they said come back, and I started going to meetings. And then I started feeling like, well, these people need some help around here. I got nothing to do. I'll start sweeping the floor, clean ashtrays. I just started doing stuff. I wasn't talking to anybody. I wasn't there to quit drinking, but I was listening. And that's where I learned what a blackout was. That's where I learned that, when I started thinking about it, once I started, I never stopped. And I still wasn't ready to read the big book. I wasn't ready to get a sponsor, do any of that. I just noticed the women going to the meetings were a lot better looking than where I was hanging out. And the cars, I thought I might get a job with somebody. I had ulterior motives for going to my meetings in the beginning. I really did. And they just accepted me. But I earned my way to stay there, I think. I mean, I cleaned floors and I helped them out around there. somebody'd buy me some breakfast. They used to cook breakfast every day, and I got to meet some of the old men there, and they'd give me a little yard work, and I just started doing stuff, and I think that kept me around AA long enough to realize why I drank. And when I started having conflicts with people in the meetings, when I started doing my service work, and people would come in and mess up my chairs that I set up for the meeting, and I go ballistic, and them old guys would say, Terry, calm down. It's going to be all right, man. They can put that chair anywhere they want to put it. I didn't realize why I drank till I got sober long enough to realize I was mad and I was angry, and I didn't like me or you or anybody. Nobody did nothing right, blah, 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 blah. So that service work kept me coming back, because I felt like it was just give me something to do. It was little in the beginning. And then I started reading the big book, got a sponsor, and started working the steps. And the big part of that, you hear in the meetings, people helping other alcoholics. I went on 12-step calls early in my recovery. I remember a sponsor telling me one time I needed to chair a meeting, and I started doing that. But he told me, if you get up there and chair that meeting, Terry, this is where you're going to meet some new guys, because when they come in and they see you at that desk chairing a meeting, they think you're in charge. And they're going to come up to you first before anybody else and ask questions or sign a paper or something, and you can get to know them. And that's exactly what happened. I started chairing meetings. And finally I got back into mainstream of society. I finally got a job, 8 months sober, somewhere along there. I 2 years sober, got married. 5 or 6 years sober, got divorced, and had a baby. And all this time, that first year I learned a lot about service work, and I learned a lot about how to not think about drinking, by giving back, by helping another alcoholic, by getting involved in my home group. God, it was a mess. When I got involved in my home group, they did all that shit wrong. It was a struggle for me to be helpful because you just didn't do it right. They didn't do it right. And I'm thinking I'm there to help people. And anyway, I learned all my lessons, and I stayed sober. And I got a sponsor, got in the steps, and started learning about why I had such a hard time with everything and everybody. And then somewhere the end of my 9 months, 10 months, the fall of 1990, I got sober in February 1990. My sponsor asked me to drive him down here to Rock Eagle. And that was my beginning of my journey coming down here to Rock Eagle. And my first time down here, thank God I knew how to make coffee by that time. Because all I did was stay in a room in the banker's building and make coffee. I didn't come out of there, but to go to my cabin and the speaker meetings, because I was scared to death. But I could make that coffee, by God. I could make that coffee, and people appreciated it. So, I got to know people. And then slowly for me, it was just AA just worked perfect for me. And a lot of that was because I was willing to do something, just to hang around. I was willing to help out. And I was kind of a people pleaser anyway, but it was important, because all those things today, when I did finally get back to work, started making some money, got married, kids, I still had to find a way to deal with life on life's terms, especially when I was to the point again of I had nothing else to do but to go to a beginner's meeting and find me another alcoholic. I had to go to a meeting that I didn't want to go to. I had to learn. I didn't have to learn. I had to utilize what I had learned that first year about service. Sometimes I just needed to hang around because I was not doing well in my life, managing it, right? And it's just saved my ass so many times. And it's being a big part of this is just I wouldn't miss it for anything, because I've just been doing it so long, and I get so much out of it. But it's not because I'm taking so much these days. I come here to be useful and helpful, and I'm on the committee, and I get to do more things now. But at the end of the day, service is what kept me around long enough to get sober. And there's a lot. I've been a GSR in my home group. I can remember, for me, I got to go to my first convention or whatever, and the group paid for it. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. I get a nice little hotel room and food and all that paid for. So I was doing it for the wrong reasons, but I still was doing it, and I was staying sober. So service work just kept me around long enough till I realized that I needed to, I know why I drank. I had so many problems. So I'm going to read something real quick, and then I'll give it over to David, and we're going to open it up to you guys, just any of your experience with doing service or what you get out of it, how much you get out of it. The new guys, I'm still doing service work. I'm not going to quit doing service work. Like I said, my sobriety date's February 20th, 1990. And this is a big part why. I'll never forget reading this in Dr. Bob's Nightmare. But at the end, he says, this is how he stayed sober. He says, I spent a great deal of time passing on what I learned to others who want and need it badly. And I do it for 4 reasons. 1, a sense of duty. And I feel that. I have a sense of duty for all the men that have helped me stay sober and learn to live life on life's terms, And number 2, it's a pleasure. And it is. It truly is. It's a lot of, I get a lot of my joy being around guys like you. And I don't get a lot of joy being around people who aren't on a spiritual path. Not everybody has to be in AA to be on a spiritual path, but I can tell out there who's not and who is, because that's how I used to be. And I do it because in doing so, I'm paying my debt, to the man who took time to pass it on to me. And I'm on my 6th sponsor now, and I wouldn't be here with them other 5 great men in my life. I wouldn't have been a good dad. I wouldn't have a 32-year-old daughter that has never seen me drink or do any dope. And I'll never feel like it's a burden to give back. I hope I never feel like it's a burden to give back because I get so much. And the 4th one is because every time I do it, I take out a little more insurance for myself for staying sober. And they say, no matter, you keep giving, you keep getting. And I'll never be able to repay my debt to those who helped me stay sober, who taught me the lessons of growing up, who taught me the value of $1 and how fast trust you can lose it just like that, and it takes years to build it up, and love lost and all of that stuff. I don't know what's so funny, but I'm going to shut up. So anyway, I'm going to pass it over to David. I have shared enough, but I guess you get the idea. It's about service and giving back, and I know there's some other good stories out there, so take it away.
All right. Thanks, Terry. That's a tall order to follow, but I'll try. I'm David. I'm definitely an alcoholic. Sobriety date, January 15th, 2020. At that juncture, I had been exposed to the rooms, and it didn't work because I didn't want it to work. I wasn't ready to stop drinking. So my first introduction to the rooms were just to, people, places, things, situations. Mr. Hubbard, you may want to check into why you're drinking so much. But as you gentlemen sitting here know that this program doesn't work if you don't really want it. And if you're here and not 100% in it, you're just wasting valuable drinking time. And that's unfortunate. But January 15th, 2020, I was suicidal, living just a chopped and screwed Groundhog Day. Every day was the same day. And I had accepted the fact that I was going to die a heavy drinker. I wasn't an alcoholic because you guys, y'all were alcoholics. That sucks to be y'all, but I'm a heavy drinker, which I know today is far from the truth. And I also stayed at NABA because that was the beginning of the pandemic. So the whole world had shut down, but luckily NABA was still open. And I'm sorry about the chairs. I didn't know they meant that much to you, but sorry. So right. Okay. So my journey, I was doing 90 and 90, actually like 180 and 90. Like I literally was 2 to 3 meetings a day, to the point where like 7 days a week. And at a beginners meeting on Tuesday, there was a particular guy. He didn't talk much, but it was like every time he spoke, I felt like he was talking directly to me. So begrudgingly, but kind of cockily, that's not a word, but I walked up to him and and asked him to be my sponsor, and he said yes. And he started very simple, like, call me every day. And by that time, like, I was willing enough to have somebody else guide me. And I called him every day. And one of the first lessons that I taught was to never say no to service work. And little did I know, 90 days in, like that would be the foundation basically of my sobriety today. And for me, service work is giving back what was so freely given to me. Because from day one, everybody in my network today has like poured in me and continue to pour in me because I'm wired, I'm a taker. I can con you, I can say what I need to say, smile, get what I need, and I'm out. And for that, a lot of my interactions with people were very, very much business transactions. Like I didn't have friends, I had associates. But the beautiful thing about this program is today I have brothers, I have sisters, I have people that are honest enough to call me on my shit. And I appreciate it today. I can hear it today. And, service for me in the beginning was chairing meetings, making coffee, cleaning up after the meeting, and, talking to the newcomer. And not until I worked all 12 steps did the steps become real. Like they were words, but some actions were behind them. But when I started working with another drunk, the program lit up for me. So it was like, oh, okay. Because I see the crazy at 30 days. I'm like, I still possess that. All right, cool. And then during the pandemic, The Rock wasn't happening. But I heard a lot about The Rock to the point where I'm like, hell yeah, whenever it opens up, I'm going. And then David shows up. It's like, David, are you sure you want to? You're going to be the only black man in the woods surrounded by. And, by that time, I was honest. I could laugh and joke about it. So that was the first icebreaker standing out here. My sponsor put me on blast. Like, what did you say about this? And I was like, this situation right here. And we all had a laugh. And that was the best rock that I had. And it was a lot of service work. My sponsor and I, we get here hella early to put the banners up. And like I've done in the beginning, I follow the winners. Like my sponsor, even to this day, has what I want. And that has, he's now on registration, started out with water, I kind of took the reins of the water situation until it gets heavy. Then I'm like, I alley-oop it to my sponsor, like, hey, handle that, please. But, for me today, service work is second nature. I sometimes kind of anticipate what the need may be. And I love it today because I I get a chance to get out of me. I don't know what the situation will bring. It's God in that situation. And I'm not wired to genuinely reach out and help someone. If I'm reaching out to help you, there are 15 strings attached. But today, if you ask me for help, I'm there. And it just feels good. Like if I tell somebody I'm gonna be somewhere, I'm gonna be there, you know. And that's just kind of a lot of the blessings of, you know, service work. I volunteer to do this so like I'm anxious today because I'm more like fine with just being in the background, letting the rock happen, letting situations happen. But today, you know, I love to serve. Like Terry need help in the lunchroom. I know I get on his nerves, but I'm like, "You all right?" He's like, "I'm fine, David. Damn it." But, no, I know the card. But you know, service work is important. I can't say it enough. But
thank you, David. And I can back all of that up because I've seen David get sober. He has come to the Napa Club over there. He goes to different meetings than I go to, but the meetings that I've been to, I've seen him doing the service work, and he has gotten involved with the rock up here recently. And you just see somebody grow up, man. It's awesome. It really is. And I know some of you guys got plenty of experiences out there. We're going to open it up. It's an open mic. Just share some of your experiences of giving back and service if you're doing the program. I mean, I remember going on 12-step calls when I was, 1 month in the program. And there was one guy, I'll tell one quick story. There was me and a guy, this guy wanted to go get treatment. So we're going to take him to the Cab Crisis Center. And it's like after 11 o'clock meeting. So it's just us two and him in the back seat, and we're driving over there, and he says, "Oh, I'm not ready. I can't go." So we drive around the block about 2 or 3 times, and we driving back up there. Okay, I'm going to go. He gets out, he gets back in. "I can't go. I'm not ready yet. Hang on. Just, give me another block or two." So we did this for about 2 hours. And the guy, we ended up leaving him on the corner and saying, "Listen, man, we got to go." And I told my sponsor the next day, I said, "This guy, I spent all this time helping this guy, and damn, he didn't even go into the suicide center or whatever, the crisis center." And he looks at me and says, "Well, you're sober, aren't you?" And I said, I didn't say nothing actually because he was right. All that I did for that guy, he was helping me more than I was helping him. So anyway, anybody want to share a little story with us? Giving back, service? Yes.
How you doing? I'm an alcoholic named Salvatore. And old timer suggested I introduce myself that way so I can remember what I am before who I am, or I'd lose everything. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you. It says in the book that some of us are so situated that we can make a lifestyle out of helping people. And I'm right now, I'm a director of a sober living program. I'm in charge of 38 men. And I've been in this situation before. I worked at a 100-bed inpatient detox in the 2000s, and I got drunk because I didn't take care of myself. And in my 30s, I worked for the Salvation Army's Emergency Family Homeless Shelter. I did that for 4.5 years, and I got drunk. And right now, for me, I treat it as a job, and I keep my sobriety separate. I have a Zoom home group that I hit every morning at 7:30 a.m., and I chaired it for Fridays for 16 weeks, and it was absolutely incredible. And I started getting off the beam, and I'm down in Jacksonville right now, but I got sober in Atlanta, and I was very heavy into service in Atlanta. And 2 weeks ago, Avery called me from central office, and she was like, "I still want to know if you're part of the ad hoc committee." And I said, "Well, I'm down in Jacksonville right now, but I would love to be." So she sent me the Zoom link, and I couldn't log into the Zoom because I didn't have the password. And I says, "No, I need a local home group, and I need service work." So that's what I did. I signed up for a local home group. My home group is now Rule 62 in Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm going to start asking for service positions because I know that's what keeps me sober. And if you are in the field or you do want to get in the field, because it's an easy field to get into because everybody's got experience and everybody says they can do it. But I grew up with the counselor as a father. And I've taken his inventory over the last 45 years I've been on earth. And we've talked about it before. And he said, I'm sorry for being dry. He treated work like his recovery. And he didn't know how to be a father to me or a counselor to me. And he ended up being neither. And now we have a relationship. And it's absolutely incredible. And I'm 9 months sober. And I want to stay sober the rest of my life. And I know I need AA to do that. So I need to give back what was freely given to me. So that's what I got. Thanks.
Hey, Jesus, man. Hey, I'm David. I'm an alcoholic. And yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for your service, man. I related a lot to the like the chairs. I got, I was at my first month of sobriety. I was not interested in being of service to other people. I did just want to stop drinking. The consequences piled up, and shit was getting real, and I didn't know how to stop drinking. I was desperate, so I was doing what this stranger was telling me to do. I was calling him, every day and showing up to these meetings, and I was suggested I start making coffee and setting up the chairs, and I did. I could make coffee, and I could make. I started trying to make these like perfect circles of chairs. It became kind of like a weird, obsessive thing with my home group. But I started to like it. And someone said I had to learn that to gain self-esteem, you have to do esteemable actions, which I had never put together before. And I kind of liked these little tasks that I had. It kind of gave me some warm fuzzy feeling. I couldn't really put my finger on what it was. And I was just thinking when you were sharing, I was maybe a month sober, and my mom called me, and I'd been living with my parents, before and after sobriety, so they had been, I put them through the ringer. And my mom called me up in her car, just her car wouldn't start at a grocery store that was a couple miles away, and she asked me if I could bring, just go get her a jump. And I was ecstatic, not about the fact that her car died or whatever, but just the fact that I was sober, at 5 p.m. on a Monday. It was a big deal, So I peeled out and I drove out there and I jumped the car and she said thank you, and I just felt, it was the first time it ever made sense to me, doing something for someone else. I remember moping around when I was a teenager. My dad, he said, well, maybe you should go out and do some volunteer work. It might make you feel better. I just wanted to scream at him. It didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't put it together. And, I wish I could say that I've through the steps, I've changed through the steps. And I wish I could say that my gut reaction was always oh yeah, I'm going to be of service. I tend to say no and then, kick rocks and throw a little tantrum later and then show up and do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? But it's because I don't understand what, my sponsor tells me I should start chairing a meeting. And I go, yeah, okay. And he's like, it's a 3-month commitment. You're going to have to talk to a bunch of people. And I go, oh, Jesus Christ. It's always, I can never do this. I don't think I'm, what do they say? I'm jittery and afraid. I don't think I can do this. But, AA has always had my back. And shit, man, you pray to be given opportunities to be of service, man. And, it happens. I forget that it's my job to fit myself, to be of maximum service to y'all, And it takes me out of myself, and I can't stand hanging out with myself too long, So yeah, thank you for letting me do that. I'm done.
Thanks, David. You reminded me. I was told early on that I didn't need to be unattended for any length amount of time, and that's a great point too, because a lot of especially early in the program as well as down the road, once I got a job and stuff, I didn't want to do stuff, but I still did, whether I wanted to or not. And it always paid off. I just wonder why I'm that kind of person that you can tell me to do something and I won't do it, especially if it's good for me, and then when I do something and I just tooth and nail just finally did it, then I'm like, why the fuck did I take so long to do it? Excuse my language, but anyway, Anybody else want to? Yes.
Hey, I'm Robert. I'm an alcoholic. I was just thinking how thankful I am for my first sponsor, because he tricked me into service work. It was a couple weeks before I asked him to be my sponsor, and was shared, he didn't tell me to call him every day, or he just told me call him tomorrow. And I called him that next day, and then when we get off the phone, he'd say thanks for calling me, you really helped me, can you call me again tomorrow? And then when we met and went through the book for the first time, then he was all right, call me every day. And I was what? Fucking call you every day? And he's well, you already been doing it for a week, just do it, it's okay. And he told me, he was I'll sponsor you, but there's one thing that you got to do if I'm going to sponsor you. He's nothing's required, but when we're done with the steps, you got to sponsor someone else. And I lied through my teeth to him, and I was yeah, man, totally, I'll do that. But then he'd slowly put stuff in. We'd be going, I joined his home group because he told me, he was you got to find a home group. It's one that you can make every meeting, that you're not going to miss. And so I joined his, and he would just be oh, hey, can you refill the coffee? Yeah, sure, I can do that. And then he'd be okay, well, you got to call me every day, but also call someone who's got less sober time than you every day. And at first I was man, I'm fucking a month sober. No one's got less, but they keep showing up. And he'd be just ask how they're doing. He was you talk to me about how you're doing. You talk to them about how they're doing. And just slowly but surely, eventually he was you get a couple months in, he's you should chair the meeting. He'd sign up to chair, and then he'd be hey, Robert, you're chairing the meeting tonight. I'm oh, fuck. And he'd be here, just read this and see what happens. And then, yeah, eventually he was all right, come to group conscience. You're going to get a service position. And I'm okay, cool. I'll be the coffee guy. And they make me the secretary. And I'm oh, shit, that's a lot more than I expected. And I'm just so thankful for it now, because I can look at times in my sobriety where it's saved my ass having these service commitments, having sponsees. It's a sponsee that brought me here, which is crazy. This is my first rock, and I've got a sponsee who's been coming here for years, and he convinced me to come. I never would have been here without that. And I just always go back to my sponsor always tells me every time we talk, he's you're helping me more than I'm helping you. And I did not believe him at all at the start. And I tell it to my sponsees now, because it's true. I have no idea what they're getting out of it. I can give them my best, but the reality is sometimes they disappear, and I can't do anything about that. Or sometimes this person seems all gung-ho and never see him again. I remember I was 2 months sober, and my sponsor put me on the hotline for the district that we're in. And I went on my first 12-step call, and we show up. By the time we get there, after getting off the phone with this guy, he's passed out. He's, and he had OD'd, and we Narcaned him. We got him into a detox, and I saw him once more. A month later, I saw him at one random meeting, and I've never seen that guy again. But kind of the same thing that was said. I've stayed sober through it. It almost feels selfish sometimes, because I get so much more than I put in. I do try to put in as much as I can, and always be there. If a sponsee calls, I'm picking up. If anyone calls, I'm picking up. If I can't pick up then, I got to call them back later. But I never would have expected how much I got out of service work. I would have thought it was because I'm a selfish motherfucker. I'd be I don't want to do this shit. What do I get out of it? And now I can honestly say it's the best thing about my sobriety. So I'm glad to be here, and thanks for letting me share.
Thank you. Great point. Another quick story. So just making a commitment helped me stay sober early on. I remember that one of the guys that the sponsor that I drove down here before he made me drive him down here, I used to make coffee for his home group, 11 o'clock in the morning at Napa Club. And he'd give me money to buy cookies and coffee. We had to go buy it at Winn-Dixie down the road. And I was like, went through something, and I was thinking about drinking, and I was like, started feeling around my pocket, and I said, oh, God dang, I got $20 here. I can't go drink yet because I got to go make that coffee and pay them guys for that. You know, that was my first little sense of some real, you know, integrity there. And honestly, I didn't really want to drink, but that saved my ass there, you know. The triangle in the circle, you know, it's got unity, recovery, and service. It's such a big part of my recovery. It's not my recovery, you know, it's not. And it's not my getting along with other people here. It's giving back. It's giving freely what I've been given. And again, like Dr. Bob shares, you know, I owe it to those guys. They're gone now, but I'm still here, and I'm here to carry on what they carried to me. So anybody else want to pitch in? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Freddie. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. It's amazing. Just 2 years ago, I was 30 days sober here at the Rock, and I came here with Chris Jones to do service work a day early, and to where I am now, I'm so lucky to have this guy that's sitting in front of me right here. This is my sponsor, and through working the steps, we would go and at the church donate time with the veterans, go and hand out food to the homeless, and he just really showed me what service was all about. And after doing my 12 steps and thinking about the 12th step, I wrote down some goals that I wanted to be a drug counselor or a minister. And a few months later after that, I got the chance to intern with men at Teen Challenge. It's a year-long Christian rehab. And after about 5 months of interning, I decided that I wanted to start to work with teenagers. And currently I'm a lead staff member working with 30 kids that are 12 to 18 years old that are struggling with drugs and alcohol. So I'm blessed to be able to live a job doing service. And this guy helped me get there, and I just want to thank him. It's awesome to be able, after a year, to actually be here with him again. And just want to thank you, Eric.
Well, my name's Eric. I'm an alcoholic. You know, I was working in a really hustle-bustle career in New York City, and their idea of service work was, you know, maybe twice a year, we'd go paint a wall in a school in Harlem. And, you know, it was all about the bus ride up and, you know, fooling around and painting a wall was cool, but those kids never saw me again. So that was service, but it was really lame. And when I retired, I made my way to a homeless shelter because I felt like pushing the boundaries of my fears. And I thought that hanging out with drug addicts and alcoholics and being close to them and having them ride in my car and would, you know, push my boundaries. And what I found out after being in a career in Manhattan was that all these people are just like me. And I was a fucking raging alcoholic. But I wasn't homeless. And I felt like giving back to those guys that were homeless. I worked in the thrift store for, 4 years. 2 days a week I would go in and sort clothes and straighten stuff before I really knew that I was a drunk. And then I got busted going there after drinking a bottle of champagne in the morning with a little wave of orange juice over it. And one of the guys that I was really good friends with was like, "You smell like alcohol." And I thought, well, you know, what a dick for me to be working at a rehab center and I was still drinking. So, and I got sober, and then I moved to Charleston, and WAG is my home group, West Ashley group, and I also then wanted to push another envelope, which was going into prison, and last Tuesday I went in there, and I was, nobody else showed up, so I was by myself, and it's a little intimidating to go into a room of 60 guys and say, you know, "Hey, you want to talk about, you know, want to do the big book study?" And they don't give a shit, really. There's guys that were locked up in there knew that as soon as they got out, they were going to get whacked again. And so I just said, let's just talk about alcohol and what it does to your life. Not so much you have to read pages 1 through 3 and tell me, you know. So we actually got a guy over the few months who'd been in for 18 or 24 months I said, I can't give you my name inside prison because they don't want us to give out any phone numbers or anything, but when you get to the West Ashley group, you can ask for Eric or you can ask for Jack. And somebody there will have my phone number and we'll give you a ride to a meeting. And he showed up when he got out. And that's making a difference in somebody's life. And I don't care, just like the shepherd and the 99 leaving one behind, you know, getting one guy out of prison to come and get sober. I don't care if it takes 12 months. One at a time is all I care about. And then helping guys like Freddie and actually Tim also. We spent a lot of time doing a lot of different things, feeding the homeless, going to veterans. You know, it just, and then church, driving the bus to pick up people. It's just second nature now. I wouldn't want to have it any other way. I want to be accountable. And it helps me. I sponsored my first guy. I'll shut up after this. I didn't finish the steps 30 days before I moved to Charleston. And then my new sponsor said, "Why don't you sponsor this guy?" And to going through the book with my hope and experience and strength and giving it to another guy, you know, it was a reward for the work that I had just finished. I was very fresh, but it was really easy to coach somebody else through it and then watch them, you know, blossom. And that's what our job is. I got sober. I don't want my life to be like that again. And that gift that was given to me, I'll work forever to get somebody sober if they want to get sober. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Thanks, Eric. Finally.
My name's Ted, and I'm an alcoholic. May 29th, 2012 is my sobriety date. Been sober for 13 years, working on 14, and this program's given me a lot. And the reason why I came to this meeting, I wanted to go to the campfire meeting, don't get me wrong, because I just like hanging out in the woods with a bunch of guys around a fire. But I knew this is where I needed to be, because this program's given me so much. And coming up here to the Rock, it's my second time. I wasn't really invested in AA. You know, I had sobriety. Don't get me wrong, I had sobriety. When I came in, I didn't plan on staying in AA. I was coming in just to slow down my drinking, to get control. And it was finally beat into me that you can't control this. And I remember a kid coming up to me and said, just out of the blue, and it made a big impact. One, he was younger than me, and I was like, "What are you doing quitting so early?" That was my first thought. the second thing he said, the first thing he said to me was, you can quit today, and if you want to go back, we'll refund your misery. And I said, well, I plan on it. And I was like, that's just crazy thinking. The misery. That's why I'm here, is because of the misery. But for the 13 years, yeah, I've done meetings. I sponsored a few people, but not many. And I wanted to learn to be more of service, to carry the message. It was a group of guys, my sponsor, more like accountability partner, but he's the one that brought me here back in March. And the reason why is because I was afraid to lose my sobriety. I was having those crazy thoughts, the ones we're all warned about. You're going to think, one won't hurt, or things are so great, you know? And it was just another alcoholic sharing his message that at 13 years, he thought it would be a good idea to celebrate. Go out and grab a bottle of vodka. And next thing he knew, he was adding Coke to it. And I was like, that's just crazy thinking, but I can see how it can happen. I met that man here at the Rock. He saved my life just by sharing his story. And the stories I've heard around the Rock, you know, we all have our home group, but we keep on hearing the same old story. But here at the Rock, it goes deep. And I want to learn how to carry the message to others so I can give what AA has given to me. I'm Ted, an alcoholic. That's all I got.
Good evening, guys. I'm Tay, addict, alcoholic, and my sobriety date is August 10th, 2024. Right now, I'm 14 months, and I love doing service work. I've been in and out of recovery for about 5 years, about 5 years, but I never did take it serious until this time around. It's like I get in and I do the service work, I get with a sponsor, I stop calling the sponsors, I stop going to meetings, but I was still clean. And the last time I stayed clean for like 28 days, and I was like, I wanted to celebrate, but I didn't know how to celebrate, so I turned around and got high and got drunk, relapsed. Same results happened over and over and over and over and over. And I stayed out there for 7 months that time in 2023. And then I was like, man, I know, I had thoughts to myself like, I know I didn't get to meet all those wonderful people in the AA room in Tallahassee for no reason. So I was I joined the church in Tallahassee. I got an AA home group, and I'm in a sober living, and it seemed like life was just going great, all I could ever imagine. And I was like, man, dang, man, I got to get myself back. I got to get back to Tallahassee. I'm from Georgia here, but when I had put that dope in and that alcohol, I ended up here in Georgia. I didn't know how I got here, and I was stuck here. And I called a church member, and he prayed, and he said, don't drink no more. I called my sponsor I had here in Georgia, and he said, he'll try to get me into a lighthouse or somewhere here in Georgia. And I called there, and they was full. So I was like, man, I want to go the extra mile. I want to see what it feel like to go the extra mile to get my sobriety back, get my life back on track. It's like, keep calling, searching online. Found a place called Turning Point in Mocha, Georgia. And they came and got me. I told them what I was going through. They came and got me. I went there, stayed in there 2 months. And while I was in there, that was the longest I ever stayed in rehab. And I thank God for those 2 months. And I did a lot of service work in there. And with me doing the service work and sharing my story to other alcoholics and addicts, it showed me that I was helping them while I was, doing the service work, because I was sharing some experience and strength and hope. It's like letting them know that there is hope in this program. It works if we work it. And I came to believe, that a power higher than, me, start believing in God more and seeking and reading the literature and just trying to help other people that were coming into treatment center. Like, hey man, look, I'm trying this program AA out, man. I know about this place over here. I'm going here. I'm gonna try this out. And I went from there, and I came back to Tallahassee, and got me a sponsor. Just like they said, once you get out, get your sponsor, go to a meeting, and do service work. And I did that. And ever since then, all the newcomers that have been coming in, it's automatically like, I'm like, hey, my name's Tay. And it made me feel great to help another brother, feel welcome. Because I know how it is when you feel alone, like I don't fit in. That was me. Like, I don't fit in. I don't know what they're going to think of me. Like, I don't know. So I welcome people into this program like, hey, man, it's going to feel strange, but just take one day at a time, And I try to lead them by example. I try to be a great example to newcomers. And I'm looking forward to keep coming back here at The Rock. I'm enjoying this. It's my first time. Hey, one day at a time, I'm going to keep coming back, man. Thanks for letting me share.
So we got about 10 more minutes. It's an hour little session. It's been recorded. And on that, what he was sharing, one thing he reminded me of, in 2008, I lost everything. 20 years sober, and I'm driving up to Gainesville to take care of my mother, because that's the only place I had to stay. I had to leave my daughter here with her mother. And I'm just cussing. I didn't get sober for this crap and all the way. But anyway, I went up there, and the first thing I did was find the clubhouse. I found the Hawk Club. And the second thing I did was I found out their little bulletin board, some things they were doing, and they were planting some plants the next Saturday or something like that. And I started volunteering to do stuff like that, because when I was going to meetings, nobody knew me like they knew in my home group. See, I was like a new guy. I was like the new guy, right? And it just took me a couple months to really start getting to know people and stuff. But I got to know them through helping out on the little side projects and stuff, or helping somebody make coffee and stuff. At 20 years sober, I'm still doing the same old stuff. And it just made all the difference in the world of me getting to know some new people, a new group. And I stayed up there for 10 years and took care of my mother till she passed away. And all I did was jump in and helping out. And then I started meeting people, and I just added more people to my network. And it was just incredible. So were you? Yeah. Or was it you? I'm sorry, one of y'all.
My name's Tim, and I'm an alcoholic. My message of service may be a bit different touch of things. What I do is I try to present a promise of hope to those that are struggling. I struggle too, still constantly now. But I remember the last Rock when I was here, I came into the auditorium in between sessions, and I sat in the back, and right across the hall, right across the aisleway from me, Tennessee came and sat. And I've been struggling, been using alcohol to help me overcome my challenge with my ex-wife of 50 years that I still can't put to rest. And I haven't talked with her or had any contact with her in probably 47 or 48 years. And I just wanted to, have an opportunity to put to rest what went wrong in our relationship. And hopefully that would help me, conquer my challenge. Tennessee came and sat right across the aisleway from me, and for whatever weird reason, we started talking about marriage and women and the lack of communication causing all kinds of challenges and whatever. And after we talked for 10 or 15 minutes or so, I go back, and the next thing I know, within 15 minutes after we had talked, I get a Facebook message from my ex. And so it wasn't really a message from her, it was just a notification thing, but that was totally out of the clear blue. That was a coincidence. That was not a coincidence, that was a miracle, in that I needed some kind of self-assurance, and I got that, okay? And then I keep having these things happen to me over and over again that are these little simple coincidences that are not coincidences, that are all this because I have faith and I'm looking for help and I'm asking to receive things. I had a nice, really nice car with a hefty car payment, and I've been past retirement past retirement age for 8 years, and work was getting to be kind of pushy, and they were talking about offering an early retirement program that they'd never had done before. And I was scared to death because I don't have any money, I had no insurance plan, I had nothing really put aside to be able to do retirement. Plus I had $1,000 a month car payment and $300 a month insurance payment for that car. Then on my way home from work one day, this guy rear ends me, totally his fault. I don't know anything for sure. I mean, he seemed to have been drinking. There was a beer can on his dash, and he ran from the accident. But my car was totaled, so was his. And then what happened then was the guy that lived across the street from where the accident was actually worked where I worked, and he knew me, and he heard the accident. He came out and he actually brought lawn chairs while we waited for police to come, which was an hour and a half later. But I mean, it's just one thing after another thing after another thing that says if you ask for hope, if you ask for help, there will be hope for you, and that everybody needs to know that all you have to do is reach out and it's there. And so that happened. That got rid of my car payment. It got rid of my insurance piece. And then lo and behold, work offered early retirement program. First time ever in 35 years that I worked there that they ever offered anything like that. And so I was kind of told ahead of time, we have to have a certain reduction in workforce, and that, this offer probably will be coming. And if you accept it, that's great. If you don't accept it, and then we don't get enough people to retire, then we will be having a layoff. And in the layoff, there will be no retirement program. There will be no extended pay period or whatever. So it came, I accepted it, and so now I'm officially retired and whatever. But it's just like my message is that when you reach out to the Lord and ask for help and you're sincere and honest with it, there is hope. He will answer your questions. You have to listen. It may not be what you wanted. I certainly was in love with my car, and I certainly didn't want to lose it. But all in all, that's the direction that it took, and that's the direction that I needed to be. And so I try to portray my things that happened in my life to the people in our group so that they can feel the effects of life and know that there is hope. Thank you for letting me share.
Hi, I'm Kevin. I'm an alcoholic. I've heard several people share parts of my story. 22 years ago, I played at AA. At the Hall Club in Gainesville, and picked up a couple of white chips. I once legitimately one day got a 30-day chip. What do I do with it? I say, hey, I got to celebrate. That was the end of that. And I was not trying to do it to save myself. I was trying to do all of that to save a marriage. That obviously didn't work out. So I went back out, and I say I was a successful alcoholic until I wasn't. A little over 2 years ago, I got my second DUI. I was in jail doing 10 days for a probation violation for getting that second DUI while I was on probation for the first one. And fortunately, people who loved me got together, decided I needed to go to rehab, gave me the choice to do that. I went from the jailhouse door after 10 days straight into rehab at Twin Lakes, not too far from here. I detoxed during those 10 days in jail, which I later learned could have been life-threatening. But it was a blessing because as miserable as that experience was, I was able to walk in with a clear enough mind at that point, having detoxed, that I was able to make the most of my time in rehab. And it was a wonderful experience. At the end of that 30 days, my counselor was doing our exit interview. And he said, "You've done a really fantastic job in the program. You really seem to have come along well in it. And I think you might make a good addictions counselor." And I said, "Well, thank you very much." Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, you just spent 30 days hammering into my head, don't make a major career change your first year in sobriety. So I was able to leave there immediately, got up to Dahlonega, which is where I live, go to my first meeting with my home group there, and got a sponsor pretty quickly on. And at the same time, I was back in Gainesville 3 nights a week, 3 hours a night, doing intensive outpatient, also with the Twin Lakes facility there. And at the end of that 3 months, my counselor said, "I think you'd make a good addictions counselor." And I said the same thing, "Thank you very much." And in my head, I'm thinking, now it's 4 months into sobriety. I'm not quite ready for this, but I did start to give it some serious thought. And it came to my attention that University of North Georgia, with their main campus being there in Dahlonega, where I live, had a new program that was starting up. It was in its first year at the time. If I'd gotten into it, I would have been the second year, going through working at a level of the graduate program that was the first of its kind in the state of Georgia university system. So I was very excited about that. And even more excited because if I applied and had gotten in, I would have started classes with 1 year in sobriety. So I thought, this is all working out. Well, what I didn't know going in, I thought surely I'm going to qualify for the program. But because it was so new, there were only 10 slots and there were almost 120 applicants. So I wasn't too disappointed when I didn't make the cut. But I started looking at other options, and then something else came up. Grand Canyon University came on the scene. I thought, oh, this is a great thing. I latched onto it, and I'm in that graduate program. My whole point is that my group up in Dahlonega is a very small group. Normal size meeting for us is maybe 10 people. We're starting to grow a little bit more. It really shrank during COVID, and we're starting to kind of get back out. Very few newcomers come to our group. And because we're so small, everybody pitches in. Everybody has at least a fingertip in doing service work in our group. Everything gets set up, everything gets taken down, everybody's responsible for everybody else. And we're a tight-knit little group. So for me, this pursuit of wanting to be an addictions counselor, when I had first brought it up in a meeting at my home group and said I'm going to apply to UNG, somebody in my group said, "Hey, look, why would you want to spend and make a career spending every day, all day long, a bunch of alcoholics and addicts?" We were in a meeting. I looked around the room like, what am I doing here? And it was a little snarky. I've since apologized to her, but I said, what better way to work my 12 step all day, every day, 7 days a week, and get paid for it. So, that's the pursuit that I want to follow. I want a life in service because this program has done so much for me. And just in this interim, I do volunteer work back at Twin Lakes. As often as possible, I'm a volunteer alumni coordinator or outreach person with them. Another group I volunteer with, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of it, is NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So many of the people that I deal with, I'm a trained facilitator in that group, also have drug and alcohol problems. Our meetings don't turn into AA meetings, but we do have anonymity in our groups. And I don't hesitate when I'm leading a group there to say, anything you say in NAMI stays in NAMI. We have anonymity. I can say that I'm crazy and I'm here, but I can't say that you're crazy or that I saw you here. Thank y'all very much.
My name is Ted Snyder, and I'm an alcoholic. I think I was 28 when I first came into the rooms, and I really got on fire and got into service pretty early. Was going to a morning meeting 3 days a week, and it was pretty new. There was only 3 or 4 of us that were there all the time. So within about a month, the guy that started the meeting was like, all right, you're going to learn to chair. And at that point, I hadn't even got a sponsor yet. But then I got a sponsor, and he, from the very beginning, you never say no to service work. And I didn't. Until, life started getting good, and year and a half in, now I've got a son, and I've got a son on the way, and I'm getting married and all this stuff, and, stopped going to meetings basically to deal with life, and, to dedicate my time to the family and the new job and all that, and keeping all these other things happy. And so, of course, I imagine you all can guess what happened. So I spent, another, I don't know, close to a decade struggling. Eventually led to me, I was still at that job, but I robbed that business and went on a multi-state bender, just running away from everything, not really sure if it was going to end with me, giving up and turning myself in and getting better, or giving up and ending it. Fortunately, I gave up and decided to get better. So fast forward now, I'm 5 years sober, divorced, but that relationship is amicable. Kids are okay. I own that business I robbed. And things are pretty good. But, I came to this meeting tonight particularly after listening to the speaker, because I feel like the service in my program is lacking. The speaker mentioned, doing just enough to be below that white chip, and doing just enough. And I feel like I've been doing just enough service so that if my sponsor or somebody in a meeting asks, I can say, yeah, I'm doing service. But I don't really feel that fire and that dedication that I used to. And that's why, I came here tonight to hear from you guys, and, and just to say that out loud in front of a group of men, because I know that, that's a change that I need to make, because I don't want to be 3 years from now picking up the pieces again. Because that's a story, I've heard multiple times this weekend, and we've all heard, and a lot of men have lived. And I've picked up the pieces enough times. But I know, because I trust in my higher power, and because I believe what I hear in here in particular, that I don't have to, and that there's a way that I don't have to, and that I can, trust in my higher power and throw myself into being of service and to the next alcoholic, and to the men in these rooms, and share what I have, and gain in what I have. So, yeah, that's it. I just needed to say that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So this is recorded, and we're going to end it up. I just want to say, we're talking about, service and giving back, and how big a deal it is for my sobriety. Also there's recovery. I got to have a sponsor. I got to work some steps, because I don't need to be carrying the disease around, right? But you don't have to just sponsor people. Service covers a lot of territory, just to keep this thing together takes a bunch of guys putting the work together just to keep a home group together. Somebody's got to manage the money. Somebody needs to do that stuff. And people really do appreciate when people step up and do those kind of things. And what service really does for me, it keeps me sober long enough till I get the solutions I need for my recovery, because the most important thing I do every day is not take a drink. And I need the recovery, I need the unity, and I need the service part of the program. So no matter how much I don't want to do it, I do it. And it's funny, every time I do, I feel better after I do it. Why I fight it, I don't know. I still have that little bug, whatever the heck it is. But I appreciate all you guys being here. Is there a burning desire? I'll give you one little chance, but we do got to close it up because they're recording this and it only goes like 60 minutes. We probably ought to cut this last part out anyway. I don't know. But anyway, we'll close up with the Lord's Prayer.